All right. I'd like to call this meeting of July 21st, 2021 to order, and to start off with a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And as always, we like to share good things. Does anybody have any good things to share about the school district?
More just sharing good news in general. So Dr. Williams officially closed on her house, so she's a resident of St. James. There were some hiccups along the way, just like most house closings, but got it pulled off, so happy to have you with us.
Awesome.
It's
Anybody?
July.
I know. It's July. It's July. All right. Do we have any statements from patrons, John? That'll be Larry's job. All right. And now we'll do the oath of office. Mr. Reinhardt, we'd like you to come forward.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of superintendent,
well, you're getting a lot out there. I will
and that I will
faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties of superintendent
in and for the St. James R1 School District,
and for the St. James R1 School District,
County of Phelps,
County of Phelps,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to laws.
according to law.
Awesome. Nope.
You look good right there.
Yep. All right. Welcome, Larry. Welcome. All right. So on to the consent agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Okay. Presentations, Mr. Metcalf.
That was quick. It's a small crowd. You must have told her when I was coming tonight. So. Okay. Do you all have that in front of you? Okay. What you're looking at is 5 years of data. I started doing that last year, where I put 5 years of consecutive data on here, and you can compare numbers. If you look, the 3 asterisk years are the years we had a daytime credit recovery program. So you'll see the enrollment on those 3 years is quite a bit higher than what it has been the last 2, and that's just why, because we got rid of the daytime credit recovery program. And also, if you look, back in 16 and 17, kids needed 35 credits to graduate. Now they only need 26. So when you need less credits, I guess you need less credit recovery. Also, if you look here, our dropouts this year were considerably higher, but we did have 2 students move that never re-enrolled anywhere. 2 of our students that were dropped were virtual kids who just didn't keep pace with what they were supposed to do. And I do expect 3 of those 8 drops to return next school year, from conversations I had with them and their parents. Our attendance is always very similar, 86.2. This year was a little hard to track with virtual and hybrid and trying to figure all that out, but 86.2 has got to be pretty close, I would say. The graduates are much lower than usual, but we had much more underclassmen this year than we usually do. So 11, we helped more kids get back on track for graduation. We didn't have quite as many graduate. 11 of our 58 students are going to return to the high school next year, and they won't need the alternative school unless they fall behind again. But we do have 11 kids that have successfully recovered all credits, and they'll return back to the high school next year. And when we send a kid back to the high school and they graduate, That's never included in my the only kids that I include on my graduates are kids who actually finish their senior year with me in one way or another. So if those kids don't return, we had an impact on them, but I won't include those in my numbers. We will have 20 of those 58 that actually return back to the alternative school next year. Our night school and summer school programs, the alt school also has something to do with. We had 12 students recover credit in night school this year, 13 last year, so that's pretty similar. But both of those numbers are way low compared to the previous 15 years. And I mean, I guess when I say that, it's something that I would like our numbers to be higher, but really if our numbers are lower, that means something good is going on somewhere else, in my opinion. So we had 33 students in summer school this year compared to 38 last year. Our Missouri Option program, we had 0 graduate through Missouri Options this year, but that's a program that I generally save for a worst case scenario, a kid that can't graduate in any other shape or form. And if you don't know what that program is, students can graduate by completing government, personal finance, and health. They have to come to school 15 hours a week. They got to work 15 hours a week, and then they pass the GED test, and that gets them a diploma. I do have one student who I'm preparing for to enter that program next year, so we should have one next year if all goes as planned. We've had a lot of students graduate through that program over the last 10 years, but just I didn't need it this year. Additional information, this is stuff that I always talk about every year, but there's always new board members. But we teach a job skills class at the alternative school. Teaches the necessary skills for a student to live on their own. They learn how to balance a checkbook, look for a job, fill out an application, and build a resume. They also learn a little bit about grocery shopping and cooking in that class as well. We always, for the last few years, we've received the grant from PCB, and we use that generally to take the students to, like, we've taken them to civils, we've taken them to math, we've taken them to Frisco's. Last year we didn't get to do it because of COVID, but this year, rather than risk it, we had Country Bob's catered in to the alternative school, and Nancy Montgomery came and talked to our students about what she looks for in a potential employee. And the kids really got a lot out of it. They asked a lot of questions. I think that they learned a lot. Our parent-teacher conferences this year, we met with 25 parents to set goals and check progress on students. 8 of those were over the phone and 17 of them were in person. That is a little lower than usual, but it was an unusual year. So, Character Ed, that's a class that we've done the entire time I've been there and before, but we've kind of tweaked it a little bit. In that class, we have the students read for 30 minutes twice a week. They have to write essays once a month, and one of the big reasons I do that is that's something that's tested on the GED test. So in the off chance that I have a kid that has to do Missouri Options or the GED, writing an essay is an important part of that, and I think it's something they all need to. My kids don't write a lot, so we need to get them involved in that as much as we can. They also journal every day on topics such as respect, pride, self-control, and other things that allow them to reflect on how they act and what they do and what the consequences of their actions are. Virtual attendance, out of our 58 students, 35 of those received virtual attendance for recovering credits. When a student gets virtual attendance, they get 94% of the attendance for whatever the kid who actually takes the physical NC class gets. And no matter how much they came to school. So if they come to school 70% of the time, which we don't like, by the way, but if they do and they complete classes, they still get 94% attendance, which helps the district out. We do, however, encourage our kids and try and make them come to school on a daily basis. COVID has made this a little more difficult to require, but 48 of our 58 kids received either virtual or physical attendance over 90%, so that's pretty good. Our online curriculum program, we continued to use Plato this year as our main source of curriculum, but last year we integrated 4.5 credits that were created by the high school teachers. And those, next year we plan on having, I have 13 down, but I just found out one popped in that was created, so we're going to have 14 credits going into next year that are created by our teachers and aligned with our curriculum. And from what I can tell, these courses, they're aligned better, but they're also a little more rigorous, yet doable than what some of the online curriculum programs I've used. Our alternative school paraprofessional program was eliminated last year, but because of my move to the middle school this year, we're going to be hiring that back. We have a few candidates, but we haven't yet hired anybody. I think we're holding off for a few more to apply, hopefully. What's new? Well, we moved from the Golden Age Center to the Tiger Cubs building, and next year we'll be moving into the high school for the first time. I joke around and I tell everybody if the alt school had a mascot, it'd be the Nomads, because we have moved several times in the last 6 or 7 years. Our focus, one of our main focus on discipline is reducing tobacco referrals, and we had 1 last year. That's all I caught. I'm sure there were more, but we're trying. We also last year we created a way for our highly successful alternative school students to get the regular school diploma. So if a kid goes through the alt school and they graduate, they have to have 24 credits, which is the state minimum. If they're an overachiever and they want to earn 26 credits, have a 90% attendance, they have to maintain a 2.5 GPA, or they can pass an exit exam that I've created from GED practice tests. But if they do that, they can get the regular diploma. And we had 3 students that actually satisfied those requirements this year and graduated from the alt school, but they got the regular school diploma. We also worked with the WIOIA, resulting in 3 students obtaining jobs, and we have a lot more that didn't reach certain requirements, but they're gonna join the program next year. And this program is for students with barriers like low income, homeless, or they have an IEP, and there's a few other things, but those are the most prevalent that would hinder their success. And this program also offers money for college. That's all I have. But last year, after I presented, I realized that after 17 years of doing this, I've never once thanked you all for your continued support of our program. You know, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Metcalf? I applaud you. You're doing great work there. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Next to action topics, we are going to set the August tax rate hearing at 6:05 p.m. prior to the August 18th board meeting.
I'll make a motion to set the tax rate hearing.
Got a motion? Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. And then we have the GRP Wegman contract. And Mr. Webster, you want to talk about the contract?
Within the contract, nothing's changed from the scope of things that we discussed last time. When we sent it over to Tom, there were just a few language things that he wanted to change to help protect us. There was some liability issues that he thought should be upped in value. Per one was $1 million liability. He upped it to $5 million just to protect us. GRP accepted all of his recommendations, made those, and I would recommend that you guys approve this so we can get going. I did call end of last week just to kind of give you an update on some timeline on some things. They were not prepared to give a written out hard timeline, but they did give me just a brief one, I guess. Lights, they plan on starting in October. They'll have them done district-wide in November. Mid-November, they'll start on the roof in the high school, and they said they should have that done by the end of December. So.
Start with the gym first.
Correct. Yep.
Just to clarify, the changes proposed by Tom did not increase any dollars as far as school money being spent.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the contract from GRP Whitman.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. And over to you.
Good. So, as you guys kind of look at the superintendent's report there, change things up a little bit just to make it more in line with kind of the assistant report that we typically do with buildings. Good things, just some things I wanted to mention to you guys in case you haven't seen them. This summer we have done some updates to the website. Within that, there's an app that goes along with it. I would tell all of you, if you haven't downloaded it yet, go download the app. I think it'll help. It'll be a great resource for us to communicate with parents. They can set it up so every morning it'll tell them what's for breakfast, what's for lunch. If their kid has an event, what time their event is, where it's located. If they click on it, it'll give them a GPS to how to get to the event. So definitely something that'll help with communication to parents. Another thing that we've been working on this summer is Titan. Titan's kind of a one-stop shop for our parents, something that we're really excited about rolling out. They can pay their child's lunch bill in there. They can pay any fees that they might have. If they damage something, they can pay that right there. If the organization runs a fundraiser, the parents can log into their normal account that their stuff's preloaded to and make that donation or buy whatever they want to buy from that. So with money transactions, we're getting to a point once we get this fully operational that all money transactions will go through that. Obviously, like anything else, it'll take us a while to get everything in there, but within the year or next year, hopefully all transactions happen there. Facilities report, kind of the flood damage update. Flooring in the band room, we've got the carpet in there. Choir and art we have in as well. There's still some things we're kind of finishing up with it, some trim stuff, but it did come in a lot quicker. Thanks to Wes. He kind of gambled with the company because the original expectation was it wasn't going to be until August, but somebody else was able to match it to the same grade. So Dake Wells did accept it and say, hey, it's the same grade carpet, so we'll take it. So it will still fall under warranty. District annual floor waxing's taking place with the custodial staff. Small projects, as hopefully you guys have noticed, asphalt in the parking lot is done. It looks great. Middle school, you've probably also noticed some. This was really before the end of the school year, but the widening of the road to the early childhood. The young parents sometimes get really excited about getting their kid dropped off, and sometimes they drive through the yard. So we wanted to give them a chance to stay on the road. So hopefully the extending there will help us with that. Elementary office, if you guys, our admin team at the elementary has been setting up shop in the library this summer. Way back with probably 3-4 renovations ago, however long, when we added the new cafeteria and added new offices over in the elementary. For some reason, what would be Miss James Miller's office, there was that would have been the old kitchen bathroom. Sewage would occasionally come through the floor on that. It had potential to be a big deal for us, obviously, as there was some concern maybe something under the building had cracked or something, which would have led to a big deal. We are very thankful that just unfortunately there was never a cap put on it once we got everything tore out. So it has been capped now. We will put new carpet in there, and the office will be operational. Kind of activities report, moving down there, some of the activities that we have going. Actually, I don't see it on there, but floor demo. Yeah, I just passed over it. Floor demo. Ryan from Missouri Flooring reached out last week. They said they would start the process this week. The original timeline they gave me is they thought it would take a week to get it out. If it took the 2 weeks that it could, then they would start the replacement in the 3rd week, so 3 weeks out. They haven't made it in yet this week, so my guess is it's going to take the full 2 weeks to get it torn out, and then they'll start the process after that of putting the new gym floor in. Summer activities that we have going on, all camps are going great. We've had a lot of good attendance at those. Fall sports we see start on August 9th. Some facility improvements that we've seen there. New scoreboards that have been placed in the Phil West Gymnasium. And we are no longer, and we can no longer call it the Loud Gym. There's been soundboards that have been put up along the walls and through the ceiling. It's really high-grade stuff, and it has done a good job at kind of getting the noise down just from a big open space. So those are some improvements that we have going on. Some things, updates that I wanted to just run by you guys. Historically, there's been an annual community tailgate party. At this given moment, we are a go with that. So we're going to go ahead and pencil that in Friday, August 27th. That is a home football game against the Salem Tigers. Within that, I believe past, as I wasn't here when we were able to do this in the past, I believe in the past the board cooks for that and you guys set up. So Shannon or I will be with you shortly on kind of the X's and O's of that, but just wanted to give you guys that date and put it on your radar. Back to school Tuesday, August 17th, 8 a.m. The plan right now is to meet in the auditorium with the staff. I would like to introduce the board often with school boards. People hear your updates. They see your stuff. They see you around town because we live in a small town. But I think it would just be a great opportunity when you don't do something that maybe has made them mad, or you don't do something that's made them happy. You know, I mean, that's typically as a teacher, that's the only time you hear about the board, when you do something really good or really bad. So just an opportunity to put a face to it for new people and old people and just say, hey, we're here to support you guys. So if you can make it, I would appreciate it. Get you in 10 minutes, get you out if you need to go back to work. If you can't make it, I understand. Next thing that we added on there was the Apple proposal. So this kind of came out of nowhere. We found a grant a couple weeks ago. We did not think it would be a good fit for us. There were some technology upgrades and system upgrades that it offered, but we didn't think we'd be able to spend enough money with what we'd have to put into it to make it a viable option. Josh had contacted our Apple rep the other day, and we found out that through Apple, they're actually part of the grant. Currently in our lease, we lease our devices. We have 1 year left on that lease, but Apple's working with the grant, so they're willing to kind of let us out of that lease. And what that would look like is, at this point, once everything gets written, it's going to be a lot of work, but probably around December, right before kids go on break, we can collect everybody's device. In January, we can have new devices for them to go out with. The expected expenditure, on average, we spend $335,000 a year on the lease. We'll have to buy new cases for them, so that bumps up our expense this year to $435,000. It is estimated from Apple that they will give us $300,000 to $400,000 on our devices. So there's a chance we could get out of this year, instead of paying the $350,000, we could only pay $50,000 or $100,000. The good thing is we will own those outright through the grant, so that'll open up $335,000 for the next 3 years. So savings of about $1 million for the district. So this could be good money for us. So we're obviously actively pursuing that. We've had some early conversations that we can then put half of the money that we allocated away, so next round we're able to buy outright as well, and then we're opening up $500,000 to spend on kids. So just wanted to fill you guys in on that. The good one, return to school, COVID-19. Everything on here is fit in with the previous plan that we approved. Within that, you'll see on here, we've kind of simplified some things level-wise, code-wise, to run through things. Level one would be school activities will be normal as possible. Social distancing will be used when possible. Masks are optionals in all situations for students and staff. However, the district may require visitors to use masks. Visitors to buildings will be restricted or limited. The logistical stuff like hand washing and everything will keep the same. We'll keep the hand sanitizer around the school. We'll still cohort our elementary as much as possible. Obviously that gets a little bit more difficult in middle school and high school, but we'll do it as much as possible. Level 2 is a wide variety there. Level 2 is the level we'd move into where we would require masking for all students. At that point, we would move into restrictions on school activities, which would look very similar to what we did last year. Obviously, depending on the severity and guidance through the health department, if we moved to 75 or 55 or 50%, or if we were able to not have activities at all. Masking would be kindergarten through 12th grade. No visitors in the building at that point, which is similar to where we started off this school year. And then the hand washing would be the same. Level 3 would be our plan if we feel we needed to go into hybrid, or we needed to just go all out virtual. And then we would fall back to the same plans that we used last year. Kind of going down through there, there's a transportation. At this given moment, whether we require masks for our students at school or not, it is a federal mandate on transportation that they be masked. This was a big ordeal in summer school. People, and a little bit of it's communication through us, and a little bit of it is some people are sick of masks, just honestly. But with that, we have a legal obligation to not break the law. So at this given moment, whether we come back in mask or not, transportation would still be masked. Arrival and dismissal, same plan as last year. Just if you're able to bring your kid, please do so. Try not to show up early unless you have to. Breakfast and lunch, within the plan, we have not found a good way, elementary-wise, to be able to let kids go in because it breaks their cohort. You might end up having a sixth grader sit next to a kindergartner or a second grader. You can't ensure that they will be within the same class when they eat breakfast. So the plan right now is still breakfast in the classroom. When we started looking at the plan early July, we felt confident that we could take kids back into the cafeteria during lunchtime. We did have an instance over summer school with quarantine, and the health department wasn't too worried about the lunch because it was by the time a kid gets their tray, they sit down. Before they're done eating and getting up to leave, they're not around each other long enough to meet that criteria to get quarantined. So that is on the table that for lunch this year we'll try and bring kids back since they're within their own core cohort anyway. Middle school and high school, it'll be a little bit different in the fact of you need to find a seat and sit there and stay there. So in the past, kids can wander a little bit when they're done eating and get up to other stuff away. We'll just have to up supervision and, hey, find a seat and let's stay there. Visitors, there's a wide variety there. We kind of talked about at the beginning. We're going to identify by where we're at the given time if we want visitors in the building or if we find it safe to have visitors in the building. Volunteers, same thing with the visitors. It'll be dependent on the level that we're in. If we're in level 1 and we have a good reason to do it, we need a guest speaker. There might be a requirement of, hey, help us out, please put on a mask when you come in. But other than that, we can do it. If we move into level 2, obviously we'll have to tighten our belt a little bit more so. And at a level 3, we would not allow it. Cleaning and hygiene, that really fits right in with exactly what we did last year, which that is still posted on the website. Personal protective equipment, that fits right in with last year and what we did. Health services, nurse's office, that just kind of fits through the guidelines that we found to work best last year. So we're going to stick with that going into this year. So have started conversations with area schools, universities in Rolla, as well as health department. At this moment, we're meeting every other Friday together and then checking up with Patrick pretty often here at Phelps Health. Obviously, there has been an uptick in the Delta variant here as of late. Kind of through Patrick's guidance and just what I'm thinking at the moment. The plan right now for the district is around the beginning of August to send everything back out to parents. Essentially, it'll be very similar to what we did last year. We're just going to say, hey, here are our levels. This is what we can do from best case scenario to worst case scenario. And then it's going to be clearly defined within those messages to parents that the district has not made a stance on where we are going to open at. My plan with that is, A, we have a chance to meet as a board again before then, and B, I think it would be a little arrogant and a little irresponsible to make a decision at the beginning of August when the first Friday in July I met with the admin team and I said, I think masks are off the table. I can't see a scenario where we go hybrid. I think we're getting back to normal. and now conversations have changed quite a bit. So the beginning of August, I just want to be very transparent with the community that we want to make sure, although there's no scenario that we can make everyone happy, that we just try to make the best decision at the best time. So right now I'm kind of leaning toward, I don't want to set a hard date. Obviously people need a couple days notice. So right now I'm thinking probably the week before school starts, right after August 18th board meeting, we'll have a pretty good vibe on where we are as a district and where we are as a community. I have invited Patrick to come down the 18th. He said he'll be here. That way we can hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So that's all I have with the COVID update. Do you guys have any questions on that before I move on?
So will we just follow Patrick's guide, or and then just make a decision? You guys will, or how's?
My personal opinion, whether it be a popular decision or an unpopular decision, if we follow their guidance, we're protected. Where if we steer off and start doing our own thing, it kind of gets, where do you draw the line? So my recommendation is going to be within accordance of what Patrick says.
Okay.
Update on teacher recruitment, Dr. Williams.
All right, thank you. It's been kind of an exciting time to think about the teacher recruitment grant, and I had the opportunity to sit down with Ms. Schultz, who is our Future Teacher Association sponsor, and she had some great ideas, and we actually have a work meeting scheduled to kind of get really into this and think about what's best for our students. We really want to grow that program here in St. James at the high school, and so we've come up with some great ways to really get kids more involved in teaching types of activities, and then also demonstrating that out to our community and then to other students within the school. And so we've talked about doing some collaboration with Tiger TV so that students could, about November, they get really excited about being in the classrooms. They've had some great experiences and really capturing those on video. And then we've talked with Mr. Metcalf and I and Mr. Johnson about really using that to recruit and try and build those relationships with the universities in Rolla and those that are close around us to try and go into their classrooms, invite them to ours, but also use that as a recruitment tool from our own students, why they should be with St. James and what's good about learning and teaching here. So we're excited about some of the ideas that we have going on there. We'd really like to think about trying to either create a high school course or trying to somehow get dual credit options for students who are interested in becoming teachers so they can already start on that path as well. So we're really starting to get those ideas together and then be able to reach out to the universities. With the teacher retention part of that grant, I am working on a survey that I'll share with teachers because I'd really like their input. You know, we can kind of have an idea or a guess about why teachers leave the profession or what it would, what they feel like would be beneficial to them to help support them and help them to retain in the profession. But I really want to hear it from them. So we're going to develop a survey to send out to them, and then using their ideas and the needs they identified, kind of try to really figure out what's best use for that grant. So that's kind of where we are right now. Okay.
Have they announced the amount for the retention yet? They have?
Overall, we will get, I want to say it's 68,000, and that's 10,000 with the Grow Your
Awesome.
Grant.
Awesome. So 58 towards the retention. That's awesome.
Yes, and it is over multiple years, so yes.
One thing I did want to update you guys on, and I tried to hold off as long as I could to put it in the report, so I put a Post-it note here to remind myself, and then I forgot. So obviously, enrollment has opened up, so just to give you guys a sense of where the community's kind of sitting right now, it's early, so this is expected. We've had 538 students enroll within the district. We have had only 12 students select the virtual option to this point. Out of those 12, 2 selected both virtual and in seat, so we've got to assume that's human error right there. Obviously, phone calls will go out to find out which did you mean to push. So we do have 10 applications, so that's like 0.019% of our students so far have chosen to say at this point we're going virtual. Within the fact of just my guesstimate, some of the ones that could go virtual are going to wait until last minute, until the district makes a decision on masking. Example, Friday I got 2 phone calls of, hey, are we wearing masks because my kid's not coming if we are, followed by 2 phone calls that said, hey, are we wearing masks because if we're not, my kid's not coming to school. So I do think there's some hesitancy there. So that's where it is a fine line of when does the district take a stance on masking, because we don't want to wait until the last minute and get flooded and not be able to react. But at the same time, I just can't think it's good to make a decision too quick. Speaking with some of the other area superintendents, they're thinking the same thing. Speaking with Patrick, you know, kind of what he said, hey, Tim, at the beginning of July when we had this conversation, remember, look at what we're having right now. So it's a fine line right there, and hopefully we guess it correctly. MSBA news, pretty quiet since it's July. Obviously, they hit on ESSER funds again, reiterated the fact that allocated throughout the state of Missouri, there will be $2 billion fed into the schools to get students caught up on learning loss that has happened during COVID times. There was a poll that was sent out through MSBA. 2/3 of the answered surveys issued to what was the biggest issue with virtual education in the state of Missouri, and 2/3 of the people said that it was just reliable broadband and internet from their house. So no real surprises there, but it does just reiterate what we're already thinking. Someone had reached out to me last week, and through a program, maybe even through Intercounty, there's a chance to possibly, this wouldn't be a school grant, but it was a grant through theirs, that if we can identify where we have students without internet, that there might be some money that they can actually put up some towers and try and get internet within the community. One of the things we did start doing last year was we polled our community on that, so we obviously did that again when you enroll your kid. As soon as we get that, we obviously cannot give student information out, but we can give location, just this part of town, this part of town. So they had requested that we do that, and so we'll do that whenever we get all of the enrollment finished. And that is all I have for my superintendent report.
Awesome.
Make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
All right.
Second that motion.
Second, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, closed session.